Alright, so I've gotten some questions in regards to infinite long jumps, in regards to grip, technique, things of that nature. And this has been a pretty well documented trick, but over the years, a lot of tutorials and other, explanation guides, things of that nature, have been unlisted, removed, lost to time. And so for newer players, it's still a pretty daunting trick, and let me preface this all by saying, if you are struggling with this trick and you're trying, you're putting in the hours, you're paying your dues, and it's just not clicking, that is totally fine. That is usually the case with most people, and so hopefully this video will help you get out of that. The first thing that I found that has helped me out tremendously is, so you have R1 and R2. R1 is pretty quiet. R2, nice and loud, has a very distinct click sound. And so that's actually kind of what I use to follow the rhythm, is you just want to keep... And if you hear an even distribution between R2 presses, then you know that you're in a really good spot. Something else that I personally have found is I'll actually, depending on what the chain is, where I'm at, how long I have to go for, I'll actually anchor my thumb on the controller in different spots. So for ship to boss in particular, which is what this ILJ is referred to as, I kind of anchor my thumb right here on the fulcrum between like the base where all the face buttons are, and then the handle of the controller. And so it does kind of make a good base to where you're not putting as much pressure on these two fingers in particular, and actually also the bottom two fingers, because they are mostly going to be kind of stationary while these two are moving, and that can be a little weird. Something that you may have noticed that I did there as well, with that anchor, you can actually rotate your wrist ever so slightly up and down, and what that'll actually do is activate different muscle groups in your hand and alleviate some of the tension that just fluttering in place like this can lead to over time. Trust me, after 3 years or so of running this game, I've encountered that problem too many times. I personally have found having a loose grip, and again, focusing on R2, and if you need, I mean, for most ILJs, the chains are pretty short, so it's not that big of a deal. But again, for ship to boss in particular, I found that rotating your wrist ever so slightly up and down is a good way to kind of alleviate some of the... Wait, hold on. Some of the pressure. I'm going to go ahead and get Ghost Ratchet for a second, because something that you may have noticed, for whatever reason, and this is totally weird, and so feel free to ignore everything I'm about to say, but you may have noticed that for regular any percent ship to boss, no Ghost Ratchet, for whatever reason, I found it most consistent for me to actually use the analog stick, which is very, very uncommon. And the reason I do it in any percent where there's no Ghost Ratchet and not NG Plus where there is Ghost Ratchet is because if you look, it can sometimes be a little hard to steer. And you see, now I'm all the way over here, and I got a PDA glide way, way, way over here. With the speed cap removed from Ghost Ratchet, there usually isn't enough time to kind of arc it in the way that you need. And so, like most people, I use the D-pad. It's just something I've found, and, I might as well include it in this, I suppose. In case you are wondering, so... Yeah, I haven't done this in a while. Oh, God. Alright, there we go. There you go. And admittedly, there even, probably just because I haven't done this in a while, I kind of choked up a little bit. Definitely don't do that. Definitely Also, must recommend, please stretch before you do this. Very important. I'm being a hypocrite right now because I did not stretch before I did this. I was kind of in a rush to get this done, but yeah. Follow R2 as best you can. And try, if you have to, honestly, just kind of practice one button at a time. Practice locking in, you know, R2 in the D-pad. And keeping that nice and consistent. Again, if you have to rotate your hand a little bit to alleviate some of the tension, go right ahead. I do sometimes actually also anchor my thumb in between the triangle and circle button. You can do that if you want. And again, nice loose grip. I'm gonna overshoot this by a mile, but that's okay. Okay, I make it. Oh. Well, there you go. This is definitely something that I highly recommend just practicing over and over. Just trying to lap it as best you can. If you can, even with Ghost Ratchet, if you can lap ship to boss, just over and over, then you're in a really good spot. I think that's pretty much all that I need to cover, or all that I wanted to cover, so hopefully this helped. If there are any other questions, let me know in the comments. I'll try and answer them to the best of my ability. And yeah, I hope this helped.